Welcome to all in the new lecture, and today we start the next unit that is on propositional logic. So first we talk about the proposition. Proposition. What is the proposition? So here a proposition, or we can say that the statement, is a declarative sentence that is either true or false, but not the both. Means, what is the proposition? Proposition or statement is that is the any statement that is either true, completely true, or completely false, but not the both. So this type of sentence is called are the statement or the proposition. So let's take an example for this. Suppose here we say that 3 plus 3 equals 6. So this is the right sentence. 3 plus 3 equals 6. This is a right statement, right? True statement. And next, suppose we say that 3 plus 3 equals 7. This is statement, this sentence, if we talk about the sentence, this sentence is true? No, this sentence is false. 3 plus 3 equals 7, this sentence is false, right? This is completely true and this is completely false, we can say this. So these both the sentences are called are the statements. We say that what is the statement, that is completely true or completely false. So that is both are the statements. So now let's see what is not the statement. Suppose we have is like that, sentence is x plus y is greater than 1. So can you tell me, is it a statement? It is, no, it is not the statement. Why it is not the statement? Because here we can't say that this is always true, and this is, we can't say that this is always false. Why? Because this sentence value is depend on the values of x and y, right? If suppose we take that x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 1, so 1 plus 1, that is 2. 2 is greater than 1. So in that case, this statement, this sentence is true. But suppose we say that x is 0 and y is 1. So now 1 is greater than 1. No, this is false. So we are not sure about this sentence that it is completely false or completely true, because it depends on the value of x and y. So these types of sentences, if we have, so that is not the statement. Clear? So and these truth values, if our statement is truth or falsy, so that statement is called, these type of values is called the truth values. Means true or false, these both are the truth values of the statement. Clear? Now one not is there. Which type of sentences are not the statements in here? So if we have, suppose the sentences, questions, exclamations and commands, so if we have these type of sentences, so these are not the propositions. So let's take an example for this. Here we have some proposition, some sentences are there. We have these sentences, right? So you can check that these are propositions, means statement or not. First we talk about this: Ottawa is the capital of Canada. So this is a simple sentence, right? Ottawa is the capital of Canada, and this is the true, because Ottawa is the capital of Canada. So we are sure about this, that this sentence is true. So it means that is a proposition, right? Next, the sun rises in the west. We all know that sun rises in the east, right? So from the east. So this is the completely wrong statement, but false statement. But this is a simple sentence. It is our the statement, right? Next, read this carefully. Is it the any we call this is a statement or proposition? No, this is not the proposition. Why? Because read this carefully, which type of sentence is this? This is a sentence. Which type of sentence? This is command. Read this carefully, this is a command, right? Next, if we say that 1 plus 2 equal to 3, so 1 plus 2 equal to 3, this is right. So it is completely right. So this is the a proposition. Next, we say that x plus 1 equal to 2. Is it any statement or not? Because we don't sure about this is true, because its value depend on the x and we don't know about x. So this is not our statement. Next, we say that what time is it? So it will be a proposition. No, it is also not the proposition, because this is a question. And we say that if we have the sentences like that, questions, exclamations, and commands, so these are not the propositions. Clear? What are the propositions and which type of sentences we call the propositions? Okay, so now next, what is the propositional logic? The area of logic that deals with propositions. Right? So where in propositions we use the logic that is called the propositional logic. Next come to the next is propositional variables. So what is the propositional variables? Actually, propositional variables we represent it by the letters p, q, r, s, t, like that. How many, which many variables we have, then we can name is that p, q, r, s. So these are called are the propositional variables. Suppose we have an example that we say that today is Friday. Any sentence is today is Friday, and we know that the sentence is a proposition. So we can represent it by P. So our proposition P is that the today is a Friday. So like that we can name this is the variable P, that is today is Friday. So now what is the truth values? Truth values, we say that this is true, false. So we use here, we have the truth values only two, that is either true or false. So our truth values is true or false. We denote the truth values by true or false. Clear? Next, we use the connectives. So what is the connectives? In proposition, what is the connectives? The words and phrases, or we say that the symbols used to form compound propositions are called connectives. What is the compound propositions? Actually, when we use the, if we talk about the one proposition, only P. So if we have suppose two or more propositions are there, and suppose we have the two or more sentences, and we when we want to combine these sentences, so that is called the compound propositions. And which connectives we use to combine these sentences, that is are called the connectives. So now there are five basic connectives called the negation, conjunction, disjunction, conditional, and biconditional. So we will study about these connectives, and we use these connectives in our the propositions. So here these our following symbols are used to represent our these connectives. So we see here in the table that here we have these connectives: negation, conjunction, disjunction, conditional, biconditional. And where these are used, so what are the connective words we for this negation? If we have the note in our sentence, so this is the negation. And in our proposition, in our statement, we use the negation and note by symbol is this is right, this and this. We use two symbols, we can use this or this, both are true. So if we have suppose in negation we need only one proposition, suppose that is P. So we write that, we sign this negation P, right? So this represents the negation of P. We use like that our disconnective negation. So now come to the conjunction. Conjunction means the connective word is and. If we add two sentences by the and, so that is called the conjunction. And the symbol is used for conjunction is like that. And suppose we have conjunction means we have to join two sentences, right? So we need two prepositions at least. That suppose P, Q are there, two prepositions are there, P and Q. So this is the conjunction P conjunction Q, right? Next, disjunction. Disjunction means our the connective word is or. If we join two sentences by the or and the notation symbol is used like that, suppose we have two propositions P and Q, so we write P disjunction Q. We use like that the connectives between two propositions. Next is the conditional. Conditional, where we use the conditional if we have the in the sentence we join two sentences like if then, if any P then Q. So like that we use the symbol, this arrow signs, single arrow signs with the conditional statement. So like P imply P conditional statement Q. Next step, biconditional. Biconditional connective words is if we connect two sentences by if and only if. So where that is used the biconditional. So biconditional symbol is used like that, both the arrow signs. So this is P biconditional Q if we have the two propositions are there P and Q. So now we will discuss in detail all these connectives in our further study. So now come to the next, that is first we take the negation. So what is the negation and uh, how we use in our proposition this negation. So suppose we have a proposition P, because in negation we need only one proposition. So P be a proposition, then the negation of P, it is denoted by like this sign, is the statement. Suppose we have any statement, so what will be the negation? It is not the case that P, it means that it is not the case that P. So the proposition, what read this? We read this note P. We can read this note P. And the truth value of negation of P is opposite of the truth value of P. What does it mean? Means suppose we have the proposition may be true or false, right? So if our proposition is true, means our P is true. So negation of P is false. If our proposition is false, so our negation P is true. Clear? So let's take an example for this by the English sentence. Find the negation of the proposition. Here we have one proposition, today is Friday. So here we have, first we need to write the negation of this. What will be the negation of this? And next express in the simple English. What is the in simple English what we can write of the negation? So now the negation, what we write the negation, it is not the case. So right, we write that it is not the case that today is Friday. So this sentence, this proposition represent the negation of this proposition. Clear? And in simple English, if we use a simple English sentence, so what we can write that today is not Friday, or we can write it is not Friday today, right? In simple English we can use like that the not. Clear? Okay, so now next come to the next example. Find the negation of the proposition. Or proposition is suppose at least 10 inches of rain fell today in Miami. And also we have to express this in our simple English. So what will be the negation? At least, what is the meaning of at least? At least means at least minimum 10 inches rainfall is there. So what will be the negation of this? The negation of this is it is not the case that at least 10 inches of rain fell today in Miami. Only we have to use it is not the case. So it will be the negation of this. And in simple English, what we can write this? Less than 10 inches of rain fell today in Miami. At least, at least 10 inches, right? So less than 10. What is the negation? At least means minimum 10 inches, and negation that less than, below the 10 inches, right? So that it will be the note of this sentence. Clear? Next, always you have to remember that, well, here in the negation, always assume fixed time, fixed places, and particular pupil unless otherwise noted. Right? We have not changed any sentence in here. So now, what is the truth table? You know what is the truth table? I think you know about the truth table. Actually, in truth table, we how can we define our negation with the truth table? So the truth table for the negation of proposition, we have one proposition p and the negation of p. So if our proposition is true, then negation of p is false. If our proposition is false, then our negation is true. So this type of table, this is called our the truth table, because these values are called our the truth values. Clear? So like that we form all are the connectives truth tables, right? Clear? So next come to the next is connective is conjunction. So what is the conjunction? Let P and Q be have the two propositions. So the conjunction of P and Q, and it is denoted by this sign, right? And this is the proposition we read is like that, P and Q. So the conjunction P and Q is true. So what will be the truth table for this truth value of this? The conjunction P and Q is true when both P and Q are true, otherwise it is false. So only in one case this is the true, if our both P and Q are true, otherwise always this value is false. So let we can see this with the example. Find the conjunction of propositions P and Q, where our suppose proposition P is today is Friday and our proposition Q is it is raining today. We have these two sentences and we use here we join these sentences by the conjunction. So let's see how can we join this, and also we have to write the truth value of this conjunction. So now we have to join this by the and. So what will be the conjunction of these propositions? Today is Friday and it is raining today. So here we use and, means we join these two sentences by our connective conjunction, that is and. And what will be the truth value of this? We say here that our conjunction truth value is true if both are true. So if we suppose that today is Friday and it is raining, so we say that this value is true. So now let's make the truth table. So what will be the truth table of this conjunction? Here we use the two propositions P and Q. So how many truth values we have? If we have the two propositions, we have the four values here, right? We have the four truth values here. So the truth table of conjunction is we have the two proposition P and Q. So we P Q. So our truth values are what? True true, true false, false true, and false false, right? If we have the two propositions, so we have the total four rows are there, four truth values are there. True true, true false, false true, or false false. So now check what is the conjunction of here. P conjunction Q. So we say that here our the conjunction is true only if both are true. So if our P is true, Q is true, then our conjunction is true. Otherwise, all other false. If our one statement or proposition is false, then it is false. So here true false false, false true false, false false false. So in the conjunction we have the truth value is true only if our both propositions are the truth, otherwise false. So this will be the truth table of the conjunction. Clear? So now you have to remember this truth table. So now next come to the uh, next connective, it is are the disjunction. So now come to the disjunction. So what is the disjunction? So let P and Q be two propositions. So the disjunction of P and Q, it is denoted by this sign. Earlier we saw this. And this proposition we read this is disjunction. We read it by P or Q. So the disjunction P or Q, what will be the truth values of this? This P or Q is false when both P and Q are false. Otherwise it is true. So P or Q means either P is true or Q is true. So we have to include both the cases. Means our disjunction value is false when both P or Q false. Otherwise, if at least one is true, so its value is true. So now here one note is there. This disjunction actually this is also called the inclusive OR. What is the meaning of inclusive or? The disjunction is true when at least one of the two proposition is true, like that. If our at least one truth value is true, then it is proposition is true. So this is also called the inclusive or. And what is the, so let's take an example here. If we say that students who have taken calculus or computer science can take this class, so or we use here the disjunction or. So what does it mean? What is the truth value of this here? This is those who take one or both classes, right? What does it mean? That those who take one or both classes. So this is our the inclusion or the disjunction. Next is the exclusive or. What is the exclusive or? The disjunction is true only when one of the proposition is true. If our one proposition is true, then it is true. So this is called the exclusive or. And suppose we have an example, we our example is like that: students who have taken calculus or computer science but not both can take this class. If we say like that, this is sentence. So what does it mean? It means that only those who take one of them, only who can attend the class, only those who take one of them. So this type of sentences or this type of proposition is the exclusive or, and this type of propositions are the inclusive, and this disjunction definition shows are the inclusive or. This is the inclusive or. So now let's take the next is exclusive disjunction. So what is the exclusive disjunction? The we have the two propositions p and q. So the exclusive or, we denote this is by this sign, and this is true when exactly one of p and q is true, otherwise it is false. So now the truth tables of the exclusive or inclusive or. This is for the inclusive or, because disjunction is also called the inclusive or. What was there in disjunction? We have the two propositions, so values are true true, true false, false true, false false, right? So what will be the disjunction? In disjunction we have the value is true, false if all these are the false, right? Otherwise it is true. If one of these true, that it is true. And what will be the in exclusive or? In exclusive or we can say the XOR, if we have the two proposition p and q, so what is the value of XOR? It is true when exactly one pq is true. So here both are true, right? So it is false, the value is false. But here we say that exactly one is true. So here true false, one is true, so it is true. False true, it is one is true, so it is true. And both false, so it value is also false. So this value is true only exactly one is true from the both. Clear? So these are the truth tables of this. And how many rows here we have? So in general, to the power n rows are required if a compound proposition involves n propositional variables. So here we have the how many propositional variables? PQ, two propositional variables. So how many rows we have here? To the power 2 means 4 rows. So like that, if suppose you have the three variables, you have the three sentence in and you join with the connectives and you use the three variables PQR. Three variables are there. So how many rows you have? 8 to the power 3, that is 8 rows. Clear? So like that we can make the truth tables. Next is the conditional statements. So what is the conditional statements? Here we suppose that PQ2 propositions. So the conditional statement, like that we denote this is by the sign this conditional statement, and we say that this is the proposition if p then q. What does it mean? If p then q. So the conditional statement is false when p is true and q is false, otherwise it is true always. Only in one way it is false, if p is true and q is false. And this conditional statement here, if we have any conditional statement, so this p is called the hypothesis, or we can say that antecedent or premise, and this q is called also the conclusion or consequence, we can say this, right? So now a conditional statement is also called an implication. We also write this, say this implication means P implies Q. We also said this P implies Q, right? Next, if we have an example, if I am elected, then I will lower taxes. If we have like this type of statement, if I am elected, then I will lower taxes. So how can we represent by symbolic? If then here use, it means conditional statement is here, means our first proposition if I am elected and second proposition is I will lower taxes. So the is our proposition in symbolic form is P implies Q, right? So now what will be the truth table of this? According to the truth table, we have these two propositions. So we have the four rows: true, 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 false, false, true, false, false. So now what is the P implies Q? Here we say that this is false only when P is true, Q is false, otherwise true. So true, true, true. False, true, true. False, false, true. Only false is if our first statement is true and second statement is false, then it is false. Otherwise, it is always true. So this is the truth table of this. You have to remember these truth tables, right? So in further study, we need to use these truth tables directly to calculate the compound statements, compound propositions, right? So now here we use the conditional statement if then. Like that, you use many types of words in English for the conditional statements. So like an example, you can see here the different ways how can we express the conditional statement. Suppose here our P statement is Maria learns discrete mathematics, and our Q statement is Maria will find a good job. Two sentences are there, two prepositions are here, two statements are here. So now we have to express this statement like in P conditional Q. P implies Q in English. So how can we write in English this P implies Q? So we have the different ways to write this P implies Q in English, not only if and then. So first is was we can write this is if Maria learns discrete mathematics, then she will find a good job. So here we use if then. So this is the conditional statement. Now another way we can use also like that, Maria will find a good job. Maria will find a good job whenever she learns discrete mathematics. So it also means that this is the P implies Q statement. Whenever. If you use the whenever, so your this second statement comes to the first and the first statement comes to the second position. So this is also this statement meaning is that P implies Q, right? If you have suppose in English proposition is like that whenever, and you have to convert it to the symbolic form, so what it will be, you have to write first this statement means P implies Q, it is meaning, right? And another way we write the conditional statement by is sufficient for, means we can write this, for Maria to get a good job, it is sufficient for her to learn discrete mathematics. What does it mean? Ki if Maria wants the job, then it is necessary, it is sufficient that he learned the discrete mathematics, right? So if we have this type of proposition is there, so it is meaning is also P implies Q, right? Next, suppose we have like that, Maria will find a good job unless. Unless is the used for negative sentence. So unless she does not learn discrete mathematics. Here we use does not because unless is used here. So it means is also the P implies Q. Next, Maria learns discrete mathematics only if she will find a good job. So if you have the only if, only, not the if and only if, that is not. Or if you have only if, not if is here, another not then is here, only we have the sentence first statement and the second statement is connected with the only if. So that is means also the P implies Q. because in your questions and we ask that we give any proposition and we say that you write in symbolic form. So what will be the symbolic form of this statement? That is P implies Q. So these many words we can use to represent our implies, our conditional statement. If, then, whenever, it is sufficient for, unless, and only if. But you have to use that. How can we use this whenever and this unless and this is sufficient for, right? So these are the many ways to represent the conditional statement. So like that we can represent our the conditional statement. So now today's lecture is completed now. Thank you. In next lecture we will study further studied about our another connectives. Till then, be happy, be healthy.